we were on the 18th. We were on the 18th sloka and 105th session. Today is 106th today. Today is 106th session. We'll continue with a little bit of 18th sloka and then 19, 20, 21 also. So 18th sloka said, Jnata Shritta Vrittayasta Prabhoho. He said about the modifications of the mind are always known to the self or the Purusha. And in continuation to that, 19th sloka said, Na tat swabhasam drishyatvat. Na tat swabhasam drishyatvat means, nor is it self-luminous, for it is in the realm of perception, the mind. Mind is something that can be observed as an object and not source of knowledge. Just as the moon is not a source of light but a reflection of the sun. So na tat swabhasam. 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 Swabhasam is that self-made or self-qualities. Drishyatva, that means the seeing, that we see or perceive. Here drishya. Drishya means darshanam, as I told you. Drishya means that darshanam, perception, the right perception of that. It's not self-luminous, the mind. Because mind doesn't have the knowledge. The self has the knowledge, the Supreme has the knowledge, or the Brahman has got the knowledge. It is from the reflection of the Brahman that we have told a number of times earlier, that the knowledge, when it is reflected to the mind when it is oriented towards the self or the Purusha, then only the mind is able to perceive that. That is why, like a moon to the sun, the face of the moon, face to the sun, is always absorbs the light and reflects it. Is in any way it is like that, you see. So whatever reflection, whichever reflects, that means reproduces a light, reproduces a knowledge. Whoever and whatever is reproducing something from something will always be known as not self-luminous. It is representation of something else. When the sun or the moon or reflects on the water, from the water also there will be a prabha, or the light will be there, you see. But this is not the water which is luminous. Is the reflection of that sun which is luminous. So there is two different things. This is a very big subject actually in Vedanta, especially for people who are going into great tapasya. It matters quite a lot. Every word is superb, supreme actually. And it is reflection of that Dhyanam. Even though mind is a reflection of the Dhyanam, suppose the mind is getting the reflection of the Dhyanam. With that Dhyanam, it is being transmitted to the Indriyas and the Sharira and the Karmas, etc. It is only that reflection which is being transmitted to these activities. It is not the Dhyanam that is being transmitted. It is not the Dhyanam that is being transmitted. It is a reflection of the Dhyanam. Let me I'm going into very hair splitting of that, to make us understand actually. It's not done like that, but I do it. Dhyanam, when it is reflected, like the sunlight is reflected, that's why I told you. When sunlight is reflected on the water, when you look at the water, you get a reflection of that, because the rays goes like this, and according to science, rays goes and travels through the transparency and then comes to and then gives a reflection, and things like that are explained. That is physical science, or the chemistry or the physics that is concerned. Whereas the physics in this is concerned as that knowledge, when it is being reflected, it is not like that which can be, it's not a darshanam again, it's not visible through the eyes, not visible to the indriyas, nor it is visible to the mind. It is not visible. So it is not darshana shastram, it is not darshanam, it is a reality. One is darshanam and another is a truth, which is existence. That's why Brahman is the truth. The other shastras are darshana shastram, because through darshanam I create an inference to understand that Brahman, from where the reflection comes. When from the reflection of the sun, the heat of the sun and the prakasha of the sun rays, I presume that sun will be this, or the mind sees that the sun will be like this. Or when they are experimenting things, they experiment based on these things only, like this. So based on what is that meaning of it? I mean, why I am going to that is that I don't want to go that way. The reflection, what is said, that it is not self-luminous. The mind is not self-luminous. It's only a reflection. It reflects the Dhyanam. That's all. So it's only a mirror. It reflects the Dhyanam. Mind, that means on one side of the mind, this doesn't have its own power. Like our normal mirror. The normal mirror doesn't have power to reflect my face if I am not looking at it. Yes. When I am looking at the mirror, then only it can reflect. Otherwise it is not possible. Same way, when the mind is looking at the Dhyanam or the Brahman, then the reflection comes. The reflection of the Dhyanam reflects on that, then it comes to that. Same way. Now because of that, what happens? Because that being the reflection, even though that is not created by the mana, but being the reflection, it will have the impact of the reflection. It will have the impact of the Dhyanam into the indriyas and the mana. Even though it is reflection. See, even though it is a reflection in the water, there is a glow, there is a light, there is a glow. So the glow is there, same way, because the light is there. May not be to that intensity, but depending upon the medium through which it is being transported, if the medium is higher in density, the reflection will be low, and if it is transparent, more transparent, the reflection will be high. Same way, when the mind is purified, when there are no impacts of the indriyas and the thought waves. Last time we talked about the thought waves. When there are no emotions, there is no attachment, there is no attraction, there are no thought waves incorporated in the mind is purified. The mind purified in the sense, the mind doesn't create any other reflections other than the Brahman, other than the Atma, then it is known as purified. That purified mind will be in a position to reflect exactly as the Brahman, if it is purified. Okay, even though it is not self-luminous, even though the moon is not self-luminous, but it provides us sufficient light. And that is a light, there is no doubt about it. Even though the intensity of the light is not like sun, but it is a light. That is for a particular purpose, all particular purpose, this can be used, this light can be used. Same way, for a mind, even though it is not highly knowledgeable, as the Brahman is, the mind is not highly knowledgeable as the Brahman is, because the purity of the mind and the reflection of the knowledge being projected to the mind, the mind becomes exactly similar to the Brahman and reflects that Jnanam without any interruptions on that, reflects the Jnanam to the Indriyas, and the Indriyas function accordingly. This is how they say that Indriyas should be, the Indriya Nigraha has to be done so that the Indriyas do not function according to their own whims and fancies, but will act, but Indriyas will function. So long the body is there, so long the mind is there, the Indriyas will function, but Indriyas will function based on the knowledge that is reflected from the mind to the Indriyas. Otherwise, what happens? Otherwise also, the mind which is not absorbing the knowledge from the Brahman is also reflecting its own ideas and its own emotions to the Indriyas. So Indriyas behave according to the reflection that is received from the mind. Is why the Indriyas, when it is attracted to the object, to an object and objective experience, we discussed about objective experience quite at length in the beginning, a few classes before, through the object identifying the Brahman. So through the object, when it is functioning, the Indriyas are functioning, it will only identify based on the emotions or the knowledge that is provided to the Indriyas. That means the mind, when it is reflecting certain amount of Jnanam and with emotions and attachment and attractions, the Indriyas also will absorb based on that, and then a mixture of Jnanam as well as the material experience or physical experience will be transmitted or transported to the Mana, and the Mana will identify based on that. Am I clear? Okay. So, now what to do? If the mind is not 100% pure for any human being, then how it is being, how can it be purified? Is that purification of Mana we have already discussed through the tapasya, through the Jnanam, through the learning of the Shastras, identify that. That's why in Dhyanam these chapters are incorporated. Dhyanam is based on this. Dhyanam is not just closing the eyes and sitting and thinking whatever you think. No. Dhyanam, once the perception of all these knowledges of the Shastras as it is written in the Vedanga, the mind will start understanding and perceiving, not only understanding, perceives these knowledges, these ideas in the right perspective of the life, not the living, the right perspective of the life, and then transmit it to the Mana as well as to the Indriyas, and we will be in a position to do the Dhyanam exactly as it has been told here, or it has been perceived by the mind. That's why we spoke about perception. What is perception? Perception is not just understanding anything. No. Perceiving something which is beneficial for us in order to promote ourselves to the liberation and gain the momentum of the Brahma Tattvam, Brahma Jnanam, and attain an absolute peace, absolute Shantada, absolute knowledge, absolute Brahman, and be there. That is the purpose why we are doing the perception, perceiving of it. This is called perception. The others are that which is permanent only can be called as perception. That which is perceived cannot be changed. We have discussed about this. That which is perceived cannot be changed. If it is changed, that's not perception, it is understanding. Understanding can be changed and it can be missed also, is why misunderstanding. So, either it is wrong understanding or misunderstanding. Like that, there are so many factors in that. That's why Siddhanta has to be identified. And everywhere, Siddhanta or principle has to be understood. If the principle is not understood, nothing can be done. A religion is based on a certain principles, but ultimately what happens, after a religion is made, the principles are forgotten and the religion remains. That means what happened? Like the mind supposed to perceive the the prakasha from the, or the jnanam from the absolute or the Brahman, transmitted to Indriyas, which even though initially it is being done, but afterwards what happened? because of the ahankara that is created in them based on its own activity, it creates mana creates an ahankara in it, and based on that ahankara, when it is transmitted to indriyas, the knowledge part of it is restricted, only the ahankara part of it is started activating. That is why it was known as lower consciousness and higher consciousness. In Karma Yoga and the Jnana Marga, there are two different ways. This is the basis of it. This is how the Siddhanta has been created. I was talking to them yesterday about the Buddhas. Buddha, everything has come from the Hinduism. There is no Hinduism, no Shastras, no Vedas, no Vedangas, no Vedantas, no Upanishad talks about the word called Hinduism. Have you ever read it? I have not read it, at least. We are not read it. But today, people have described them as Hinduism. That's all. Okay, let us not discuss on that. We all know that it is not there. That is a Siddhanta. So from the principle of that basic principle only, these religions have been created based on the individualities, you see. Where it is from the, it is complete from the ekam, it is divided into the pluralities, or an ekam, the pluralities. That's how it has happened. So what happened, as I was telling yesterday, a very informative thing that what we should know. I'm not disrespecting any of them. They are all made for certain purposes. They are all good. All religions are made for certain purpose. They are good. If it is followed in its own the right perception, that's all. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami, Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. Three principles. Buddha, Bodham, that means conscious. Depend on the conscious. Depend on the Dharma. Dharma is that what you are executing in the Karma Yoga, in the Karma practice of it. This Karma Yoga is called that Dharma. Through that Karma Yoga, when you execute a particular karma through dharmic way, you will be in a position to transport yourself towards the liberation is Dharma. So that I am not going into more details on that. We know that. This is Dharma. So again, in order to understand the consciousness, one has to understand what is consciousness. One has to understand Dharma. Then comes Sangham, Sharanam. Depend on the Sangham. That means unity. That means the diversities. So, identifying the diversities from these pluralities, you identify the plurality, then you identify the unity in plurality. That's what's called the Ekam, Egatvam in Anegatvam. So, identify the Siddhanta of the Advaitam in the Dvaitam. Then you should promote yourself towards that is what the Buddha Siddhanta takes place. In Buddha Siddhanta, so based on this only they are functioning. They do not want to go into details of understanding how this should be attained, how the conscious should be attained. It's a great question again. What has been taught? But again, Buddha has attained, no doubt Buddha has attained enlightenment. But I don't know how many Buddhas afterwards have attained enlightenment, or any Buddhas are there enlightenment. Whereas which you call it as Hindu Shastra, there is no author for any of the documents. Here it is Buddha, you can say. There no author is there. All the Upanishads, all Vedas, everything has been created by the number of rishis, you see. And how many of them got enlightenment, we know that, you see. Talk is starting from the Devatas, then we come to Maharishis, Maharishi Vasishtha, Vishwamitra, or Vedavyasa, and then Yajnavalkya, and Vaishambhayana, and hundreds of them, Ashtavakra, and who know how many of them, Gargi, and Adi Shankaracharya, and keep on talking. There are so many of them have been enlightened, is known. Jainism also has started based on those three principles only. Syadi, Syadati, na Syadati. These are the three principles of that. The same thing has been explained in the Lalita Sahasranamam for the Devi Stotram. They have written about that. That Saguna Nirguna, Saguna Nirguna. Saguna we understand, Nirguna we understand. Probably we don't understand what is Saguna Nirguna. The rope, a snake in the rope. No? When I am understanding it is snake, it is snake. But it is not snake, it is rope. Saguna Nirguna. And when I am seeing the dream, it is real. Absolutely real. Only when I am in the dream, or when I am in the dream, I am absolutely real. That is Sagunam or Nirgunam, whatever it is. When I come out of that, we understand it is only a dream. Saguna Nirguna. You understand the conflict between this. Similarly, Adi Shankaracharya explained about the Saguna Nirgunam being in the Jagat. Jagat, since we are living in this world, we think it is real. Like when we are in dream, we think it is real, we experience it is real. Is it not real? It is real at that time. Only when you come out of it, you know it is not real. The same way when you are in Jagat and when you are living, it is real. But when you go out from the Jagat, then only you know it was not real, it was only that momentary certain activities are there. This is what it is. The same thing can be see how many translation in Hinduism it is there in this. I mean, we call it as Hinduism today. We also. Vyavaharika and Paramarthika. Paramarthika, Vyavaharika and Pratibhasika. Three. See, the same meaning. It comes to the same. So these are the classification already has been provided there. From those informations, this has been taken. And in Buddhism, they said Ahimsa Paramo Dharma. I was talking about that. They have taken Ahimsa as the main subject of the religion. Ahimsa is the one. It is absolutely right. We spoke about Ahimsa. What is Ahimsa? Ahimsa is not only the Ahimsa of animals or Ahimsa of something else. No. Ahimsa of the self also. The thought, our own thought, what we are creating is also Ahimsic. You know that Ahimsa. We discussed about Ahimsa, I think at length, very, very length. We have discussed. So Ahimsa is also one small part of the Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yogas, sub-yogas, another sub-yoga is called the Ahimsa. Which one? Know that Ashtanga Yoga? Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyanam, Samadhi. Out of that, in Niyama, the Pradhama is that Ahimsa, Satyamasteyam. That goes on. Ahimsa is a part of Niyama, which is a part of Ashtanga Yoga, which is a part of the Vedic ritual. So Ahimsa, that is being projected as the main subject of one and took as the religion. You got my point. It's not only that, along with other things also. Dharma also is there. Dharma is there, conscious is there. So I am not discussing about religion. I have just, in the process, I have described about the bifurcations from the Vedanta, because the whole Vedanta could not be understood by many. The whole Veda could not be understood by many. So what happened? They have divided into parts of it so that through that we understand. Like we said about the Karma Yoga, Jnana Marga, Bhakti Marga and Sannyasa Yoga, and that attain the liberation. All Margas at last, all the Margas will come and join at the Jnana Margam at last. And then go beyond that, you see. So, but what happened? There are certain paths have been created. Similarly, the other areas also, they have created a path. So ultimately, it is the jnanam that has to be provided. Now here, what I am talking about, that the self-luminous of the mind is not there. Why? Because these bifurcations have been come, and a person will say that Ahimsa Paramo Dharma, and nothing else is that. Only through Ahimsa only I can attain the Parabrahman. Okay. Now what is Ahimsa has to be in detail, has to be discussed, then only the Ahimsa part of it will be cleared, you see. Otherwise it is not clear. So it is not only one part. Ahimsa is that the one who does the Himsa. In order to do Himsa, there has to be a mind, there has to be a thought. Then only the Himsa, the thought of Himsa will come. So it is meant for the human being again. And then Himsa is not alone, is the factor that has to be understood by that, because it is a smaller compartment to, well, you have to really beat it up and expand it to that extent that where you can understand the Parabrahman through that. But what happened? In order to make people understand, it has to be started from somewhere. So they bifurcated the number of subdivisions and take as ahimsa as part of it. That is a karma yoga. What is ahimsa? Ahimsa is a karma yoga. Ahimsa is a part of karma yoga. Through execution of ahimsic dharmic, ahimsa means then when you do ahimsa, then you will be doing dharma automatically. Dharmic way of living. Through dharmic way of living, you will do ahimsa. Ahimsa is that not harming yourself, not harming others, not harming the prakriti, not harming the knowledge, not harming the principles will become is the true ahimsa. So if you can maintain all this, that means non-harmful to all these things. It is not only killing. Killing an animal or physically killing an animal or killing something is not alone is that ahimsa. Ahimsa is that not even a thought. You see, even a thought should not create. If the thought comes, that also himsa, that also will have to be. You will have to do the ahimsa when the himsic thought comes. So in order to have not creating a thought of himsa, how it is to be done? That is what explained by the Upanishad. That means not create the thoughtless mind, we said. Where there are no thoughts. No thoughts means no evil thoughts. Okay. Evil thoughts are good thoughts. Whatever thoughts are there, thoughts are thoughts. Thoughts will create some waves. Even if it is saguna, it is also creating a thought will create a problem. Will create a karma bala. Problem in the sense, a karma bala. Saguna also will create a karma bala. Nirguna also will create a karma bala. Both will create karma balas and you will have to execute them in order to exhaust them. So both cannot be. Well, saguna is better than nirguna. So from nirguna it can be saguna. Then it can go beyond that. That way it can be processed. Anyway, it's a big chapter. I'm just putting different points from here and there I am taking. But these are the important headings that has to be identified. Why did I say this? Why did I say this? That this being many religions I spoke, many points they are focusing on I spoke, because many religions are focusing on based on the karma yoga, even though they call it as a moksha marga. Jains will call this as a moksha marga. It is not a karma yoga. Syada, this syada asti, not syada asti. That which is there, which is not there, which is there but not there. That's the meaning of Nasyadasti. Which is there, not there. So from there this has to be understood. So to execute this, one has to execute a karma. Karma is what? Karma is again thinking, doing. These are all karma. Well, through the Dhyanam this has to be provided. No? This Dhyanam has to be provided. How this karma can be, a man who doesn't know how to convert this karma yoga into the Dhyanam, or he doesn't experience the Dhyanam, then it will be a problem for him, because till the time his system realizes, he will keep on doing his karma yoga number of janmas. Our purpose of talking this is that to promote ourselves to faster, through the knowledge, we travel faster towards the realization, and then we come to the Kaivalya, or what's it? Kaivalya.
Moksha.
Liberation. Kaivalya is liberation, in order to create the liberation. So this is why this has to be done. So the faster the liberation. So many ways has been provided. Many people have told many things. Even in Jainism, Santara has been provided. Don't eat anything. Think about the God. Don't eat anything and go. I told you about the roti and then hunger and this, last class. If a man is hunger, can he think about the God? It's okay. So is the hungry is that you should really starve and then go to the death? I don't know. But while starving, you should not feel that he is starving. That means his physical attachment to starvation has to be renounced. And that renunciation cannot be done all on a sudden at one point of time. It is not. One may do it out of vengeance. We all have that, no? Zid hai. I will do this. Okay. One can do it like that. So one may do it. Like you are doing fasting. So many people are there, 40 days fasting, somebody has to do. Many things can be done. Well, what I am trying to tell that should not be, that hunger can be there. You can remain hungry and then get kaivalya, no doubt. But when you are hungry, you should not be experiencing the hunger or feeling that you are hungry. No, that should not be there. That means you should have complete renunciation. And you should be absolutely in the state of absolute no lower consciousness state. When you are not in the no lower conscious state, then only you will not feel the physical needs of it. We say Indriya Nigraha. Indriyas should not have the his own freedom to execute whatever they want. Is called Indriya Nigraha. So Indriya Nigraha has to be done while living. That during the process, what happens? A suppression of Indriyas. All of a sudden, from tomorrow morning, I will not hear anything. No, it's not possible. You must hear, there may be sounds coming in, but I will not perceive it. That's it. This is why I told about the perception. If you understood the meaning of perception properly, is that I cannot stop the sounds outside the world. Let there be sounds. But my perception of the sound is only what is required for me. It's called perceiving. The others are just understanding or listening. That's all. The same way, the renunciation process or the process of reflection, that non-reflective mind, to reach that status, it is highly difficult, it is very difficult, and it has to be practiced, and it has to be practiced through the Jnanam of the Vedantic Jnanam and then the Dhyanam. That's why in Dhyanam this is being explained. How not to create that, that illumination of the mind should become the same as the Atma. That means the Mana and Atma should merge into one. That means Mana should merge into the Atma. It is not that mind should have a separate identity and the Atma as a separate identity. So long they are two, the reflection and the reflective impacts will continue. And they have their own limitations. Yes. They have their own limitations. So the liberation doesn't take place at that time, but entanglement takes place. You got my point? So how to convert them? How do we see? My purpose is that make the people understand better in normal living. How should we do it so that now this if I have told this, I don't think anybody can get the glimpse of that, of liberation from this what I spoke now. It's not possible. Even though the principles have been told. How is it to be done? I have to tell you the physical structure of yours and how you gain the experience, how you convert the karmas into the jnanam and get liberation and get kaivalya out of it. Is what I had been working on that little bit on this. So I would like to tell you that. You see, this is of course not my own. Again, I heard so many things and then I derived certain things and I did a contemplation, then I derived certain impacts of that. So here I am discussing about the effect of the karma that we are doing, how it is being transmitted through the indriyas or through the functions of ours, how we transport it to our mind, who will analyze it and then transport it to and reflect to the antaratma, or being a reflector, or being a direct representative of antaratma by the mana, how this converts into the jnanam and effective for us in order to liberate us from the karma. And karma yogi we become. So that means mukti from the karma, or the liberation of the karma, or exhausting the karmas. It's not this. See, basis is Kundalini, and one is static energy, another is dynamic energy. Let me go into physical detailing so that the principle I spoke in the beginning, that has to be in mind, because that has to be linked with this. Then only you will get the benefit of it. Otherwise, you separate that or you separate this, then you may not able to combine these two together. So you should be in a position to combine them together. Okay. How is it possible? Kundalini is there. Kundalini is the dynamic energy, which is dynamic, which is movable, which is transported. This is purposely given to us actually. The Kundalini is staying or being situated at the tip of the spine. Mooladhara is tip of the spine. It's an energy which is, we call it as an energy, which is a consciousness. What is energy? Energy is consciousness. Static energy is that consciousness of the highest consciousness. This is called the absolute consciousness or the realm of the higher consciousness. The lower consciousness is called the Kundalini. Kundalini is the lower consciousness. What is the difference between lower consciousness and higher consciousness? We have learned it earlier. In lower consciousness, all the physical activities, that means Vyavaharika Jivan. The Paramarthika Jivan is on top, that's Paramartha. This is Vyavaharika. In order to execute the Vyavaharika Jivan, we need the consciousness, and that consciousness, we call it as a dynamic energy, or we call it as a Kundalini, and situated at the Mooladhara chakra. This Kundalini, this dynamic energy is the one which keeps traveling once in a while, depending upon necessities, traveling, acquire the Dhyanam from the static energy. That means, when it travels and comes back, it has acquired certain things, energy, like the sunlight reflecting on the this one, or the Antara Atma reflecting on the Mana. That's why I said you have to link with that. Then only you will get it. Atma reflecting on the Mana, same way the static energy reflecting on the Kundalini. Got my point? Static energy reflecting on the Kundalini. How can it reflect? Now think about it. There has to be a clear passage, then only the reflection of the static energy can be reflected on the dynamic energy. Purification of the mind, I said. When the purification of the mind is done, then only the reflection is taken place. Here also, if the Kundalini is purified in the sense passing, including the passage, everything is connected. So don't split up like that literal this one. Understand that reflection should be clear. So the reflection on the Kundalini energy should be clear from the static energy. Kundalini energy is the functional energy. Functional energy. Everything that we do has to have the presence of the Kundalini energy. Static energy may not be there, but in function, in karma yoga, in karma, it has to be there. So through the static energy, when the dynamic energy is dormant, we call it as dormancy. Dormancy means nishkriyatvam. In Sanskrit, nishkriyatvam is what is known as. Nishkriyatvam in the sense, not that it is idle and not doing anything. Nishkriyatvam. Kriya is something that which is to be done for a particular purpose. Kriya is done for a particular purpose is called Kriya. Karate, the Kriya. So that, what is the purpose? The purpose of life is that to execute certain karmas which is beneficial for us to promote ourselves towards the liberation is called the Kriya. All others are not Kriya. Everything is not Kriya. No? What we say in our general language, Kriya karam kiya ki nahi hai. Kriya karam. What do you mean by Kriya karam? What is, किसी के लिए when we do puja, उनका क्रिया कर्म किया कि नहीं है. उनका क्रिया ये है that whatever those ideal principles of them, are you following, have you done that, is called kriya. Not that whatever they have done, no. Kriya is that whatever, suppose a father dies, father's principles, that means that what he has learned from his living, that ideologies and ideals, that is called the kriya. That kriya has to be done by the son. That's why pum trayate iti putraha, they said. That who fulfills the kriya of the father is called the putra. Not that he has borrowed some money and I have to repay it, is not the kriya. Many people translate it like that. Father has created something, so I have to repay for that. Does it become a kriya? It's curse he is doing, That father has done this and I am supposed to suffer for that. It's cursing. It's not a kriya. So this is not identified. I am just telling an example. It's not considered as a kriya. Father was a a knowledgeable person. Or father did this good qualities. Father had this. I have to, what is it? When I start talking, there are so many bifurcations comes. Why do we have a putra? That I have to tell first of all. Vamsha Vardhana. That's what they say. That means you are expanding your Vamsham. That means your society. Vamsha Vardhana is the necessity of the putra. Why should you have the Vamsha Vardhanam? To create a better world. To create a world. Maharishis and Tapasvis, why are they having putras? They could have done Tapasya and they got liberation and merged with the Parabrahman, is it not? The Maharishi, who is highly, Tapasvis, great Tapasvis. They don't have to marry, they don't have to have putras, like Ravana. Vaishrava has their putra like Ravana. Why? Why should that Vamshavardhanam of the Maharishi? In Vamshavardhana of a Maharishi or Vamshavardhana of a person, that is for the purpose of the promotion of the world, promotion of the universe, promotion of the knowledge, so that the total situation turns out to be the Krita Yuga, and from the Krita Yuga it becomes a Brahman again in the Srishtikarta again. Is why even the 4 yugas have been bifurcated, so that in Kali Yuga everybody experiences the worst, and then they go into the path of knowledge, how to come out of this. One day will come out. Like Corona is there, and everybody is breaking their heart, how to come out of it. This is called acquiring the Dhyanam. The same way, we will all in Kali Yuga, after suffering so much, we will all think how to acquire this Dhyanam. And we will acquire. Once you start finding, we will acquire. And Dhyanam is already provided by the great people. Vedas and Vedantas are already there. Krita Yuga is already an experience there. Dwapara is there, Treta is there, all the things are there. So from the Kali Yuga, people will start, once up to this, when it comes to, they will all start transporting themselves or transforming themselves into Treta, Dwapara, and then the Krita Yuga, Satya Yuga or Krita Yuga, and then get the liberation ultimately. This is called Pralaya. Pralaya means Para Laya is Pralaya. I have explained this earlier. Layam into the Brahman is called Pralayam. Not that filled with water or something. That's only to make us understand that nothing will be remaining at that time. When everybody becomes Satya Yugi, what remains here? Nothing. Pralayam, ho gaya. That's Pralaya, ho gaya. This is called Pralaya actually. The true Pralaya is that. So, when we have sufferings or when we have Ajnanam filled with that, then we will start to work towards the knowledge, towards the Dhyanam. Where did I say this? Where did I come?
You're talking about the passage.
So the Dhyanam is necessary. That means one has to train oneself in order to acquire the Dhyanam through karmas, through karma palas. So the dormant means Nishkriyatva. We said Nishkriya means what? Nishkriya is that not doing anything, but that's how we started. Not doing what is required is called Nishkriyatva. Kriya, Karam, I said. No. Kriya means what? This is Kriya. So Kriya, Karam, Kiya, Kini. Kriya means what? Kriya, that is what is necessary for promotion of something else, is called Kriya. No. That's why they do puja in the. What is Kriya, Karam when you are doing? They are all doing chanting of mantras, doing this one, doing all that good things. No, nobody does any other things. No, he may be, even if the person is a bad person while living and this one. But when you are doing Kriya Karma, you are not repeating what he is doing. You are doing the same puja as you should have done for another noble man. The same puja is being done. What does it mean? Kriyas are done for promotion of the liberation, for promotion of the Jnana Kriya. Kriya and Karma. Kriya, Karma, they said. Karma, what is that? Karma is that according to your living, according to your life, you are supposed to execute a karma. What is that karma? Karma based on the dharma execution is called the true karma. That is why Bhagavan said to Arjuna, execute your karma. Hey Arjuna, do the karma. Means many people mistake, they are Westerners and all. they discuss unwanted things. Why? How can Krishna tell Arjuna to kill somebody? Is it dharma? No, it's not. No. What is Bhagavan Krishna telling Arjuna? Do karma. Karma, yoga, dharma. That's what is dharma? That destroying the adharmam is called dharma. So what Arjuna is supposed to fight with is adharmam, not the individuals. Well, those principles, people who understood, they have understood. The same way, kriya karma means what? Execute a karma of dharma. What is the dharma? Dharma is that in order to destroy the adharma, even though a person who has passed away might have done adharma, I execute a dharma. Through that dharma, I do a kriya. Through a dharma, karma, I do a kriya. Is why it is known as kriya karma. That's why these two words have come. Otherwise, what's the meaning of kriya karma? Do anybody know? We all use it in our life. I think I have also heard so many people talking about it. Have anybody told you why there are two? Either you say kriya kiya ki nahi hai, ya karm kiya ki nahi hai. Why they should use kriya karma? To have got two different meanings. What's the meaning of it? This is the meaning of it. Kriya karma. Karma to be done in the right manner in order to, through the process of the kriya, and assume that you are done. Then why should you do it? Are you really promoting? As I told you, we cannot give moksha to anybody. Then why are you doing it? You are doing pum trayati putra. As a putra, I vow to the father or to the departed soul or to the God. What is departed soul? Again, don't say that the individual is standing there and watching. No. This departed soul merges with the Lord. It's not suspended anywhere. Merges with the Lord. So, in order to make that soul, that means departed soul, happy, that means make the godliness, that means make the higher consciousness happy. How to make the higher consciousness happy? To provide the Dhyanam to the higher consciousness through the lower consciousness is the way that. This is meant only for Kriya Karam, is meant only for the normal people who are doing in the Sansara or the Grihastha Ashramis. For a sannyasi, no Kriya Karam is done. Did they do it? Do they do? For a sannyasi, for a guru, for a tapasvi, for Chinmayananda when he passed away, no Kriya Karam. Just Samadhi is done. Finished. Why? He is a very important person. He is a great knowledgeable man. Don't you think that according to the people who talk the way they talk, if you don't do Kriya Karam, this will happen to that, this will happen, the soul will go to Naraka, so soul will be swallowed by elephant. So many stories are there, unwanted stories are there. Why is Chinmayananda Swami's soul will not be eaten by elephant? No? If Kriya Karma is not done, why? Why? Because he is already a jnani, and his karma or the kriya is that when he was living, he was educating others in order to get the liberation process. He, being a purified soul, he doesn't have any karma left out, or he whatever he has left out is only a purified, absolute purified performance of the karma, no kriyas there, karma to the others in order to follow him. Because as far as he is concerned, his karma or kriya is no more there. Whereas in an individual or a grihastha ashrami, he had lot of kriyas and the karmas had to be executed. Kartavyas. Kriya means what? Kartavya. He had lot of kartavyas and karmas have to be created. But what happens? The person who is following that, doing kriya karma, what happens? He makes his higher consciousness, or he makes his consciousness understand that following the absoluteness in a person who was living at one point of time, through giving the respect to the goods and good qualities of him, through my perception of karma in the right manner, dharmically, I am doing this kriya, that means certain rituals that I am doing, so that this jnanam of understanding of the knowledge in me, that through the dharmam and through the karmam and through the kriya that what I am doing, executing the karmas, I should be in a position to promote my lower consciousness into higher consciousness, is called the combination of kriya karma. Is it clear? No. I got rice. Better to go to that downstairs. I got rice, I got water. Eh? One is Kriya. What is Kriya? Kriya is that rice. What is karma? Water. Okay. Unless I put karma into the Kriya, this will not become the food to boil it and then Agni. Then only it will become the food. If they remain two different things, I will not be able to consume it as a food. I have to add the Kriya into the Karma. Kriya is that which is called Kartavya. That means in order to live, we need rice, Sharira. But to make it palatable to the Sharira, I have to add water and then boil it. Boil it is Tapasya again. So the same way, I have a Kartavya to be executed. Kartavya should be executed based on the Dharmam, that is Karmam. Understood? Kartavya should be executed through the process of karma or dharma. That's what a brahmachari does. I told you, Vaishambhayana has told, a brahmachari is the right person to live as a grihastha-ashrami. Why? Because through the process of identifying the karma, dharma, that Brahman is called karma. Identifying the Brahman is called karma. Utilizing that to execute a kartavya is called living. So, kriya, karma. A combination of kriya, karma becomes one as far as a brahmachari is concerned. Whereas, in a normal grihastha-ashrami who doesn't have this knowledge, for him karma is different, kriya is different. Kartavya is different. He doesn't do his kartavya based on the karma. He does a lot of mistakes, lot of unwanted things, no, based on that. So it is not a karma. It's called nishkriyatvam. Sakriyatam is what? Do the kartavya exactly as the karma has been explained as dharmically is called sakriyatvam. The other is nishkriyatvam. So, dormant, mooladhara, dynamic energy is a nishkriya. That which is attracted and attractive towards that is necessary. Mooladhara is necessary, Kundalini is necessary. That energy or that consciousness, lower consciousness is absolutely necessary in order to execute our karmas in this world. You know, that is what is creating all the attractions, attachment, desire, moha, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. Everything is created through this lower consciousness or the lower energy. If I am closing my eyes and meditating, let me say, when the Kundalini, we call it as Kundalini, awakens and merges with the static energy at the highest level, not in the lower level, highest level, at that point of time, does he have got any kartavya to do? Does he have got any karma to do? Does he have got any attractions and attachments? Kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya? Nothing is there. Why? It dissolves into the higher consciousness. In higher consciousness, none of them are there. That means, in lower consciousness, all of them are there. Did I prove it? Mathematical probability. If it is not there, it is here. Somewhere it has to be there. So it is here only. Lower consciousness, that means in lower consciousness, in the Kundalini energy. That means that so long as the Kundalini is dormant and nishkriyatvam is there, we will be highly attracted to kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. Fine, no problem. Fine, no problem. It is provided. It's provided. Now what happens? Through the process of execution of karma, through kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, we are executing our karmas, and through that karma, the experiences that we are deriving, we are transporting it through the nadis called Ida, Pingala and Sushumna. Okay? Ida, Pingala and Sushumna. You must have gone through the chart we have explained when we took the initial Upanishad classes. Ida up to this, Pingala up to this, and Sushumna straight. Sushumna is straight. Now in Ida and Pingala, one is transporting emotional satisfactions and the kriyatvam, nishkriyatvam. And another is transporting sakriyatvam, that means karma. Kartavyas, that means whatever wrongs and whatever goods, that whatever you are doing, in the dormant energy, in the Kundalini energy, what happens? It gains certain experiences. If you do a bad karma, you do bad experience. If you do a good karma, you gain good experience. You got good character, you got good thoughts, good behavior, good things like that. You acquire that shantata and quality. That will be straight away. Since it is purified, there are no obstacles. They will be transported through the Sushumna directly. The others will have to go into Ida and Pingala. That means I am doing so many mistakes, I am doing so many wrong things, all these things will go into Ida and Pingala. They will have a discussion, they will have a undergoing of the experiencing. That means through the bad experiences or wrong experiences. Whenever I have wrong experiences and bad experiences, or whenever I do a wrong karma, whenever I execute a wrong karma or dushkarma, where is it applying to us? One is that the physical body is the one which is getting diseased, first of all. Second is that because of that result is the one which I am accumulating, that converts into the karma phala in us, and I have to take again a rebirth with the same sharira or some kind of sharira in order to experience the same analysis of nishkriyatvam, is why the punarjanma is again taken place. So what happens? The Kundalini is the one which is getting the attraction and attachment of worldly experiences. Nothing wrong. It being a dynamic energy, it should be dynamic. And through the dynamism or dynamic energy, churning through the Ida and Pingala, through the number of times of exporting and importing or bringing it down and up, what happens? I derive certain results out of it, which should be absolutely purification. That's called the Brahmacharyatvam or the absolute purification. When I come back with that purity, when my experience of Nishkriyatvam, my experience of wrong things and good things and this, that and all, whatever happens, good and bad, what happens in the worldly attachment and attractions, the Kundalini is the one which is churning, which churns it, and out of that I should be in a position to evoke my static energy at that point of time to reflect on the Kundalini so that it gains the experience of the reflection and purifies it. It has got experience, no doubt. That is why the Kundalini can function. Dynamic energy can function only from the static energy. If the static energy is not there, Kundalini, dynamic energy will not function. So it has to reflect on that. Same way, when I am executing my karmas and kartavyas, certain amount of reflection that comes automatically from the static energy to dynamic energy, or from the sahasra to, or from the higher consciousness to the lower consciousness, with that knowledge that is provided to me, we should be in a position to churn it and reject what is not necessary, and then transport that whatever is purified through the Sushumna to the static energy. So the functional energy is called the dynamic energy. That means all our attachments, attractions and things like that happens, or the karma, kartavya and all those things happen only because the Kundalini is there. And Kundalini is functioning. But it is functioning in the not Sakriyatvam, Nishkriyatvam. Maybe sometimes Sakriya, sometimes Nishkriya also there. But the Nishkriya is always there. That is why all this Vyavaharika Jivan is contained. That means Paramarthika and Vyavaharika. The Vyavaharika Jivan is contained because of the Kundalini being there in the Nishkriyatvam. Is why. Now I have to purify it. And energy is energy, but it is not the Kundalini being purified, it is the karmas that being experienced by the Kundalini is that what is purified. So the dynamic energy is provided in order to do the churning process of and purifying it and taking it to the static energy or to the higher consciousness. Kundalini will not get affected by these experiences. No. It is an instrument in order to purify that, if it is possible. If it is too much of loading of the impurities are there, the Nishkriyatam happens, it doesn't function. Is why the 100% purification doesn't take place and I don't get the liberation. It should be limited. Like in a rice mill, you have to pour little, and then only it will grind. If I pour one full bag of this one into that, will that rice grind? No, it won't grind. Same way, little bit is okay, but if it is too much of unwanted things are being loaded to the dynamic energy or to Kundalini, it will not be able to churn it completely to purification. It's not possible. So it will be partially done, partially will not be done. So what happened? You create a karma phala and then you have to reborn. So accumulation is not there. So we have to do that. In order to do that is why we call it as awakening of Kundalini energy. What is awakening? Rising up. Many people say, there are so many people I have heard and I have been seeing. Nowadays I don't find them, but they used to be at one point of time. People come there and do Kundalini awakening. Energy is what happened. When a Kundalini is awakened, as I told you, every time Kundalini awakens, keeps on traveling it. It's not that it is static at one point. It keeps on traveling. The awakening of Kundalini is that at that point of time, what happens is that through a process, the dormant energy, which is dormant, from the Nishkriyatvam, they make it Sakriya for a temporary period of time and then awaken it through a physical process. And it merges with it comes to the Sahasra, you have the giddiness, and then comes back again. After the finishing it's over, everything is gone. It is like having an intoxicant. Have an intoxicant, you will have some feelings, is it not? After the effect of the intoxicant goes off, you are again back to normal. This is called a physical awakening. Actually it's not an awakening of Kundalini. It's a Kriya which is unnecessary, it should not be done. Because unless the passages are clear and the Kundalini is clear, if one does this, it is damaging to the system. Brain also get damaged, thoughts get damaged, even the system gets damaged. So it should not be done. The awakening, we call it as awakening is not a mechanical process. Awakening, what's that? Jagrata. What's awakening? Jagrata. Uttishta do Jagrata. Uttishta, awake. Get up. Get up from where? Get up from the sleep. Get up. Uttishta, Jagrata. Awaken. This is called awakening. When you get up, then you become awakened. If you don't get up, you don't get awakened. Uttishta do Jagrata is what the term calls. Uttishta means from the sleep, when you wake up, when you get up, then you wake up. That's called waking up. Waking up from where? Waking up from the sleep. So waking from the dormancy, Nishkriyatvam, to Sakriyatvam is called waking up. That's the meaning. It is not that making you feel something, that you can do many things to make you feel happy. You can have an alcohol, you can have a cigarette, you can have ganja, you can have so many things can be done. It will have the same feeling. That is not what I mean here, or that's not what Swamiji means here. The Swamiji means here, or the Maharishi means here, is that awakening of Kundalini. Awakening can be done only through Sakriyatva of the Kundalini. Dhyanam. Dhyanam has to be acquired. Now what happens? When I am speaking about the Dhyanam, when I am speaking about, that's why we have to sing glories of God. We puja, we do a lot of things. Whenever we do it intensely with the mind, not that the thought is in somewhere else, how to do marketing tomorrow morning, and today I am doing puja and pushpa is being thrown at the feet of the Lord, then nothing will happen. No, it's not that. Then Nishkriyatva remains in Nishkriya only. Absolutely concentrated form of tapasya. When you do it, what happens? The attraction and attachment to the worldliness is no more there in the Kundalini. Then the Kundalini awakens. Uttishtatu Jagrata is the meaning of awakening of Kundalini. You got? Not a mechanical process. You have to be absolutely jnani in that. That's why bhakti and jnana, both are same. Both are same. Ultimately, the meanings are same. When you are in deep bhakti or when you are in deep jnana, what happens? Uttishta, that means, hey, Kundalini, come. Now dormancy is no more required. Uttishta, be awake, get up, and Jagrata, awake. Awakening comes when it comes here. Then Uttishta comes here, the awakening comes on the here. So Uttishta means, come on, get up. How to get up? To get up from the sleep, you have a lot of activities to be done. No? Rub your eyes, concentrate where I am. No? How should I get up? Should I get up like this or like that? I'm just telling small things. So Uttishta is not easy. You have to program it when you are in dormancy. You have to program how to get up. Same way. When you are in the worldly attachments and attractions, you have to program how to get up. Uttishta, how to get up. How to get up? The worldliness has to be renounced. The bed has to be renounced. My comfort of lying down has to be renounced. My sleep has to be renounced. My dream has to be renounced. My blood pressure has to be changed. My thought has to be changed. My connection with the world has to be changed. Then only I can get up from the bed. Am I right? So many activities without you might be not knowing it. When I tell you now, you can understand. Is it right? It is right. Have you ever thought of it? No. So much is necessary. I'm just telling an example, bringing in similarities. Necessary to get up. Same way, in our life, to get up, so much is necessary. That means you should be identifying, first of all, हम कहाँ पर है, पूछते हैं ना, सिनेमा में पूछता है, हम कहाँ आ गया है. First you have to ask, हम कहाँ आ गया है, ये दुनिया में कहाँ आ गया. This you have to ask yourself first. Where have I come? Am I in the real position? No, I am lying down. All those things are there. You understood what I am trying to tell you. Uttishta is that. That means in our proper life, what am I doing? What are the things that is happening? Is it necessary? No. Come out of it. Wake up. Get up. Wake up. When you wake up, then only you will be in a position to then wake up and then Jagrata. Be attentive to that, what you are supposed to do. After waking up, then you are supposed to Jagrata. Same way in our Kundalini also, what happens? Wake up and then Jagrata Avastha. That's called Jagrati. That's called awakening of Kundal. Awakening. Hey, wake up. Hey, Kumbhakarna. Wake up. How can you wake up Kumbhakarna? By making him smell the food. No? Because he is voracious eater. That's what the TV shows. No? I don't know whether real Kumbhakarna is like that. TV में हम लोग देखा है बस नहीं मालूम. They make them smell good food and all that, make lot of noise, lot of unwanted things. So Kumbhakarna wakes up. Same way, this Kumbhakarna who is Kundalini, who is dormant, you have to do a lot of the waking. Make him smell the knowledge. Make him smell the higher consciousness. Make him smell the renunciation. Make him smell that liberation. How beautiful it would be. Then the Kundalini gets awakened. Kumbhakarna awakens. Then comes through the Sushumna. It travels to. Is called awakening of Kundalini. Is how you transport. What is the purpose of telling you all these things? That means the churning of our karmas and kartavyas should be in such a way that Kundalini should be able to sustain that, able to do it, and then transmit it and convert it into Dhyanam and transport it through Sushumna and come to the higher consciousness or the static energy. Then I get liberated from the attachments, attractions and the worldly matters, and I get the Kundalini spiritually awakened permanently. No more coming back. When it is physically awakened, every time it goes and comes back with the attractions and attachment. When spiritually awakened, the Kundalini is permanently gone. We are no more in this world. Jagat Mithya is proved. When it is in the Jagat, it feels this is the truth. When it is not in the Jagat, it is proved that is the truth. This is how awakening of Kundalini takes place. This awakening of Kundalini is known as What is the process of awakening of Kundalini? The awakening of Kundalini is known or should be known as the karmas and kartavyas that what we execute in the physical world should be converted and transformed into the knowledge, into the Dhyanam, and transported to the static energy or the higher consciousness with renunciation process of the attachments and attractions to the world. That means Indriya Nigraha, Mana Nigraha, then we will be attaining. That is what is called. This is how you convert your karmas into the Jnana. That means, again, I repeat, maybe it is not clear to you, or maybe it is clear, but I would like to repeat something more. When I do and execute a karma, when I have an attraction, how do I transmit it? How do I transform it into knowledge? No? The number of times or number of janmas, let me say, is not only times. Sometimes it is number of janmas. Number of janmas, I experience the same thing in the Kundalini. Same thing. The intensity of acceptance by the Kundalini reduces, is it not? If the same thing is repeated to you, number of times, you stop listening. Am I right? The same way, if I repeat so many things, so many times, the same thing to the energy or to the lower consciousness, the lower consciousness says that I already know it. This is not what I wanted. Last Janma, I had been listening to this, enough of it, but this did not give me any result out of it. So I reject it. This energy rejects. Yes. Now let me put a practical example for it. When I put something in something to grind or something, I have to put it through a filter, through a screen or a filter, through which right measurement of the grain will pass through through the hole. The sieve is there, sieve and put plot down, so that the grinder, the machine is designed such a way that it can grind only these minute particles. If I put a bigger lump on that, machine will get spoiled. Is it not? So I have to provide a screen beyond that. So the screen does it, and then only the filtered ones are grinded in that. Kundalini is that. So when you do number of times the screening, accumulation of unwanted things happens. Now what we will do? You have to clean the screen. You have to throw it out. So number of times if you repeat the same dirty or manifested grains inside to screen it, this unwanted things gets filled up. You are unable to screen anymore because it cannot accept it. No, the capacity is full, it cannot accept it. When it cannot accept it, automatically either this has to be thrown or you have to take another screen. Similarly, in our lifetime, if I repeat number of times the same mistake again and again and again and again, and I don't derive a result out of it, what happens? The energy rejects it. It will not accept it anymore. This is why after number of janmas one gets mukti. Bolte hai na? Somebody who cannot understand in this janma, next janma he will understand. Or after 10 janmas he will understand. How is it this process? If he is not understanding in one janma, how can he understand in 10 janmas? Because the same repetition happens at a point of time. The system will reject the knowledge, the lower consciousness will reject that because this knowledge which I have acquired in the previous janma did not give me any benefit. So I reject it. I must look for something else. Maybe that's also wrong. That also will be rejected in the next janma. Like this continues. You got my point? How you convert? How you convert this kartavya, kriya and karmas from the Kundalini, from the dynamic energy, how you churn it and then convert it into the palatable to absorb by the static energy or the higher consciousness. This is how the changing is done. Now, why the Ida and Pingala is provided, One is Shiva and one is Vishnu. Shiva is static, that means after the kartavyas are completed, it merges into the Shivatvam. That means absolute nothingness. That means everything is destroyed. We call it as destruction, or we call it as merging. This destruction takes place. All the construction is done only to destroy. All the building up is done only to destroy. All the execution of karmas only is done to destroy. Every experience that is happening is only meant for renunciation. Everything is meant for dispelling of. You see, that dispelling of has to be done. One is Vishnu. One is Vishnu is that known as the one who is doing the administration in the universe. So that means karma, kriya, karma. Okay. One is kriya and one is karma. Through the karma, ida, let us say, it goes. Another is static and Shiva goes. Okay. Shiv and Vishnu. Okay. One is kriya, jagat, and another is dispelling. Both comes to Sahasra, or to the third eye, which is the highest consciousness. Now, I have to tell you through a story about this, how to explain this. This, in Kerala we have got the Lord called Ayyappa and Shabarimala, top of Shabarimala. He is supposed, I will tell in very short, it's a big story, but short. He was supposed to be born to Vishnu and Shiva. There is no woman there, and man there. What is Vishnu? Vishnu is kriya, karma. That means he is looking after the world. After Srishti, he is supposed to look after and dissolving done by the Shiva. So, the karma and the dissolvent, both together, when merged together, has created a power which is known as the Ayyappa. And they also said that he was born from the hand of Vishnu. That's why he is known as Kai. Kai means in our language it is hand. Born from the hand. That's what is known as Ayyappa. What is this? Combination of the Shiva and Vishnu. That means combination of function, karma as well as dissolution, dissolving. Both are incorporated in them. Both incorporating created a form is called Ayyappa. This is what Ayyappa said. So what is this? This is why I said Vishnu and Shiva. Vishnu is the karma and kriya, and Shiva is the dissolution. So these two together, then that's why in the Ayyappa temple it is written Tattvamasi. Samveda's Mahavakya is Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi. What does it mean actually? What does it really mean? According to me, I don't know whether it is somewhere there or not, but as far as what I understood, what is Tattvamasi? When this karma and the kriya, like in us, this karma as well as dissolution, that means what is Ida and Pingala? One is karma. That means whatever karma you are doing, you, according to your learning of the Vedanta and Veda, you try to purify it, but there are some impurities in karma, and that is passed through the Ida. Another is that you try to learn Vedanta and meditation and things like that, dissolution, that means renunciation, that through the Pingala. Ida, one of this, Ida and Pingala. Both comes and here. That means one your karma and one your knowledge. This is knowledge. Knowledge or bhakti through knowledge. Knowledge through bhakti, whichever it is. Knowledge or bhakti, whatever it is. Both comes here and merges, trying to merge to the static energy or to the higher consciousness. There, how this can merge, this cannot be accepted to the higher consciousness. Like this, these are Dvandvuta is there, it cannot be accepted. So at it, I am personifying it, that's all. So that comes to the third eye. Before going to Sahasra, it comes to the third eye where there is Dhyanam, because we have learnt the Vedas and Vedantas as well as the Tapasya. Through that I acquired this Dhyanam. So the karma and the dissolution both comes to the Dhyanam. Here they discuss or they merge together. When it merges together, the Vishnu or the karma says, Tat, that what I was, to Shiva, Tvam Asi, Tattvamasi. That what I am is you. Same thing the dissolution says, that what I am is you. And this both merges together here and becomes Tattvamasi here. Both, that means our karmas, when it is executed, what I am trying ultimately, modifying, even though dramatically I explained this. I just put it in a smaller conclusion, is that when I execute a karma through the jnanam dharmically, that karma, through the process of dissolution which I have learned through jnanam, through learning of process and executing it and things like that, and I merge it when I do both of this, what happens? This and this becomes one at a point of time. Tat Tvam Asi. When I understand this and then transform into my static energy of the Sahasra Chakra, I understand Tat Tvam Asi. When I understand Tat, the Kundalini, or the churning that what I am doing there of my karmas or dissolution, whatever it is, that Tat Tvam is Asi. That Kundalini, hey Kundalini, this the static energy or the higher consciousness is telling, hey Kundalini, hey lower consciousness, Tvam is Asi. I am you, and you are me. Tattvamasi is the principle of Tattvamasi. When the Kundalini, that means in our lower consciousness, when we purify our lower consciousness through the practice of Veda, Vedanta, Vedanga studies or Bhakti, or through Bhakti also, and identify the dharma in that and identify knowledge in that, what happens? I open up the Kundalini, I open up the lower consciousness, open up with purity to that reflected. That means the one who is in the static energy or to the higher consciousness gets complete absorption of it and gets evaporated towards that, drags towards that and says that Tattvamasi. It's a principle of Tattva. This is how I convert my karmas into process of liberation and merges with the Lord. Karma Yoga. Finished. Through Jnanam. Karma Yoga converted through Dhyanam, and through Dhyanam it is absorbed into the ultimate Tattvamasi, where everything is merged. That's called Tattvamasi. This principle was derived, just going through it. So that is awakening of Kundalini energy. Then there are so many other things I have noted down, but I don't think there's enough time for that. Understood is the Tattvamasi principle. Yeah, then I have just noted down. Living in abundance is the quality of the Kundalini energy. Living in abundance. That means living. That's how I must teach the lower consciousness. Live in abundance. This is called the process of churning or dynamic. The process of churning. How to make that? Making the Kundalini or making the lower consciousness understand to live in abundance, that we have everything in plenty, that everything, that what I have received is good, that what I am supposed to receive only, that what is to be received is good, so that I do not have to unnecessarily crowd in all the materialistic world desires and things like that into me and get myself clogged and blocked so that I am not able to transport myself to the higher consciousness. Is called living in abundance. Enough is enough. Everything that is necessary for this is called brahmacharyatum, austerity. Live in austerity. Do live. The brahmachari also lives, but he lives. He measures his words while speaking. He measures his thoughts. That what only necessary. He measures his seeing capacity. He measures his listening capacity. Screening of the indriyas, as I told you. This is the way how we teach the lower consciousness in order to process it towards that is called live in abundance, that plentiness. Live in always that whatever God has given is good enough now. I do not have to grumble about things which is not there, which we think it is not there. What is there, what is provided is good enough for me. Let us be one with that Lord. Let it be one with that higher consciousness. Then we will be in a position to transform these ideas or the karmas into the true nature and transport it. Otherwise what happens? I will be stuck only with the thought of indriyas or thought of mind that this is not sufficient, this is not sufficient. A small thing. So I will always be trying to acquire. I will be busy with that. The Kundalini will be busy with that. Awakening doesn't take place it only remains as the dormancy, in dormancy. That's what stationary. Dormancy is that stationary. It doesn't want to move up when we do that. Is what something like this is what I thought. I don't know whether it was useful for you or not. Then, but I thought I must share whatever right or wrong what I thought. If something is wrong, please tell me so that I will correct it. So this is what I think. With this we I think we close today's session. Om Shanti.